So I want you to be now super uncomfortable and watch this video of an interaction between him and none other than Diddy. Take a listen.
Justin, you ever seen the movie 48 Hours? Right now, he's having 48 hours with Diddy, him and his boy. They're having the times of their lives, where we hanging out and what we doing. We can't really disclose, but it's definitely a 15-year-old's dream. I have been given custody of him. He signed to Usher.
I'm signed to Usher.
I had legal guardianship of Usher when he did his first album. I did Usher's first album. I don't have legal guardianship of him, but for the next 48 hours, he's with me. So and we gonna go full crazy.
I'm going crazy.
So young Justin Bieber, who was signed by Usher, involved with Scooter Braun, now all of a sudden he's being put in the hands of Diddy, who, it is true, he became the legal guardian for Usher. You can look up all of the allegations of what Diddy did to Usher. A lot of this coming out via multiple lawsuits that essentially, if we were going to put it in a nice context, or at least use a euphemism for something that's really disgusting, the allegations are essentially that Diddy very much initiated Usher into Hollywood. And as we are going through these lawsuits and Diddy is in prison, we are recognizing that everybody knew this was an open secret about what Diddy was doing. So it just begs question, who allowed Justin Bieber to be in the presence of this man, knowing what he was up to? Allegedly up to. That seems to be very clear, that there is some veracity to those claims.
When the footage of Diddy with a 15-year-old Justin Bieber resurfaced, the internet didn't just pause, it erupted. The clip is chilling because it shows a young superstar in the making, a kid from Canada who only wanted to sing, suddenly placed, whoom, under the control of one of the most powerful men in the music industry. Diddy is smiling, laughing, bragging about having Bieber for 48 hours and promising to go crazy with him. On the surface, some dismissed it as harmless fun, but once you peel back the layers, it doesn't feel like mentorship. It feels like grooming ground zero. Candace Owens, never one to shy away from controversy, ignited a fire under the conversation. She said out loud what millions were already whispering, that Diddy's access to Justin Bieber was not accidental, but targeted. Diddy had a reputation, and the industry knew it. With influence, wealth, and connections that made him untouchable for decades, he pulled Justin, still just a boy at the time, directly into his orbit. Owens emphasized the timeline, pointing out how bizarre it was that a teenage star was suddenly attached to Diddy's hip in both public and private moments. Looking back, the red flags are undeniable. Imagine being 15, barely understanding the music industry, and having one of the most powerful moguls in the business chasing you for attention. Bieber laughed awkwardly, tried to brush it off, but his body language told a different story. Owens replayed that footage and asked the most important question. Why was this? Okay, why did no one step in?
He did an interview back in 2020 with Zane Lowe. I think this was on Apple Music. And he was speaking about another young artist that was coming up, Billie Eilish, and Eilish. And he was basically speaking about how he wanted to protect her because she was now another young person, a rising artist in the industry. And sort of out of nowhere, he became quite overcome with emotion. Take a listen.
Did you feel protective of her?
Yeah, I definitely feel protective of her. It was hard for me being that young and being in the industry and not knowing where to turn and everyone, telling me they love me and, just turn their back on you in a second. So, yeah, it's hard because I want her to know that, she can count on me. But at the end of the day, I'm never going to force myself to be in a relationship with her. It has to be natural, right? So I just kind of, let her do her thing. And if she ever needs me, I'm going to be here for her. But yeah, just protecting those moments because people take for granted encounters and Yeah. So, yeah. I just want to protect her, you know? I don't want her to lose it. I don't want her to, you know, go through anything I went through. I don't wish that upon anybody. So, yeah, if she ever needs me, I'm just a call away.
I'm not even kidding. Watching that clip makes me emotional because he is saying so much without really saying anything. Protect Billie Eilish from what? From who? What is he so concerned about when he sees this young person in the industry? What exactly did he go through? Well, I think I have an idea because just 2 years after being a 13-year-old, getting his entire career, seeing this little hopeful, joyful young 13-year-old, Justin Bieber turned 15, and it suddenly seemed that Hollywood was keen to almost initiate him. I think that's the right word. Like there was almost like this.
Behind the scenes, the story turns even darker. Candace Owens pointed to lawsuits against Diddy, many of which claimed his parties weren't glamorous celebrations, but environments where control was maintained through substances, manipulation, and silence. Justin Bieber, barely out of childhood, was seen at those parties. He was surrounded by adults, temptation, and forces far beyond his understanding. Owens described one clip she refused to show, in which Bieber appeared heavily under the influence while sitting with Trey Songz and Odell Beckham Jr. To the untrained eye, it looked like a teenager having fun. But Owens argued this was not fun. It was exploitation disguised as celebration. She made it clear Diddy didn't act alone. Managers, agents, label executives, and media figures all saw the warning signs. They saw Bieber look uncomfortable in interviews whenever Diddy's name came up. They saw his awkward laugh when Diddy mentioned Lamborghinis and luxury gifts. They saw his downward spiral in later years, the breakdowns, the erratic behavior, the moments of desperation. And yet they said nothing. Why? Because Diddy was too powerful. As Owens bluntly put it, power protects power. What makes the story even more tragic is how Bieber himself later tried to warn the world without explicitly saying it. In a 2020 interview with Zane Lowe, he became emotional while discussing his desire to protect Billie Eilish, another teenage artist thrust into the global spotlight. Bieber broke down, saying he didn't want her to go through what he went through. He never explained further, but his tears spoke volumes. Owens connected the dots. This wasn't simply stress. It was trauma hidden behind fame. The resurfacing of footage where Diddy bragged about having guardianship over a young Usher only deepened the concerns. Owens tied it all together, suggesting a pattern. Diddy repeatedly attached himself to rising stars, presenting himself as a mentor while raising disturbing questions about what happened behind closed doors. According to the lawsuits, it wasn't mentorship at all. It was manipulation. Owens then asked the question no one in the industry wanted to confront. Would any normal parent allow their 15-year-old child to spend unsupervised nights with a key, powerful adult celebrity? When phrased that way, the answer is obvious. And yet, because it was Diddy, people looked away. That silence, Owens argued, is what kept him untouchable for decades. The media also played its part, often laughing off uncomfortable moments between Bieber and Diddy as quirky or funny. Owens rejected that narrative, insisting there was nothing funny about it. Those moments were red flags ignored by an industry more interested in protecting Diddy than protecting a teenager. She called it what it was, not gossip, but systemic neglect. Now, with lawsuits and investigations piling up, Owens said the walls are closing in. No more NDAs. No more rewriting history. No more pretending past behavior was harmless eccentricity. The footage, the interviews, and the testimonies all paint a picture of a man who used power to gain access to those who couldn't protect themselves. And at the center of it all stands Justin Bieber, whose rise to fame was forever shadowed by Diddy's influence. Owens stressed that Bieber's story is not unique. The difference is that Bieber was too famous for the world not to notice. Behind every big name, she argued, are countless others whose stories never made headlines. The entertainment industry has long had a problem with protecting predators instead of children, and Diddy was simply the face of that problem. Wealth, influence, and connections shielded him from scrutiny for years, making him more dangerous than anyone realized. She turned the focus toward parents, asking, "Would you let your teenage child spend nights with a celebrity unsupervised?" The answer is no. Yet in Hollywood, this was normalized. Owens warned parents to stay vigilant, reminding them that fame doesn't protect children, it exposes them. The narrative she built was one of a system cracking under its own weight. The lawsuits are public. Testimonies are piling up. Former allies are distancing themselves from Diddy. The tide is turning, and the fear that once protected him is beginning to evaporate. Owens called this the beginning of the end for his iron grip on the industry. One of her most powerful points came when she replayed interviews showing Bieber visibly uncomfortable whenever Diddy's name was mentioned. His nervous laughter, his dodging of questions, his refusal to elaborate, all signs that something was wrong. The media brushed it off as harmless, but Owens condemned their failure to investigate. They protected their access to Diddy instead of protecting a child. Today, the lawsuits accuse him of creating environments where silence was enforced at all costs. Owens argued that his wealth, luxury cars, mansions, and private jets weren't symbols of success, but tools of manipulation, used to lure, impress, and control. Bieber, she said, was one of many caught in that web. Owens ended with urgency. If the next generation of artists is to be protected, the silence must end now. This is not about gossip or celebrity drama. It's about accountability. Diddy used his position to surround himself with vulnerable talent, and too many adults enabled him. Owens called this real exposure, not rumors, not speculation, but hard, uncomfortable facts. The old footage exists. The lawsuits exist. The testimonies exist. The breakdowns from Bieber exist. The pattern is too clear to ignore. For decades, the industry let Diddy thrive unchecked. But now, the walls are closing in, and the truth is breaking through. Owens's message resonated because it wasn't just about Diddy. It was about an entire system of power, money, and fame that allowed exploitation to masquerade as mentorship. Bieber was one of the lucky ones. He survived, even if he may never say everything out loud. Others may not have been so fortunate. Her final reminder was clear. Fame cannot excuse predatory behavior, and power cannot shield it forever. The evidence is stacking up. The silence is cracking, and the world is finally beginning to see Diddy for who he really is.